Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Lines on a Page. I am your host, the poor man's Bob Ross, Thomas Price. As you can tell with the surroundings behind me, I am actually in Baltimore right now. And you're going to have to excuse how I sound. I've got some weird sinus drainage stuff happening. Anyways, so yeah, Halloween special. It's going to be a three monster throwdown, free for all, whatever. And we're going to be drawing Frankenstein's monster versus Dracula versus the Wolfman. And we're going to be talking about a couple different things as far as just putting characters in motion and leading the eye, force perspective, basically some of the stuff that we've talked about in episodes past. So, before I continue on with the rest of it, I'm going to go ahead and put in the comments section the materials that we are using today, which we are, because of me being in Baltimore right now, I'm doing everything digitally. But if you happen to, like the show or anything involving the show, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you're wanting to know where you can follow me, you can find me at linktree.com/tpriceartworks. And you will find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also on Patreon. However, if you want to show me a little bit of compassion, please feel free to buy me a coffee through Venmo and just type in T Price Artworks. And yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. All right, so let's get to this. This is actually going to be kind of a long episode. So I am expecting this to be pretty long. Yeah. Don't know what else to say. So yeah. And we're going to go straight over here. Let's do this for a second because I kind of want to talk just a little bit. Basically, I've been talking to my brother and sister-in-law and also two canines, so haven't had a chance to really talk to a lot of people as of late, and I guess this will have to work until the convention. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm in Baltimore right now, and which for those of you who happen to be watching that are in, around, or somewhere in the vicinity of Baltimore, Maryland. The Baltimore Comic Con is actually going to be this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm going to be there all 3 days. And the Artist Alley table B47. Yeah. So really excited about the fact that I'm going to be able to do this. However, part of my brain feels very underprepared as it were, just because I've had like several events back to back to back to back, and so I'm just kind of mentally, I'm just kind of like, and then the other half of my brain is kind of just reeling into the fact of there are a lot of just A-listers in the industry that are going to be there. If not all 3 days, then they are definitely going to be showing up at some point. And by those people, I mean Jim Lee and Frank Miller. So, moving along, we are, if I can do this real quick. All right. So, as I said before, we're going to be doing 3 different characters and putting them all together. And I'm going to try and make this as spoopy as possible, which is somewhat of a name. But first things first, we're going to be putting in our horizon line. I think that's a bit off. There we go. All right. I'm not sure if that's actually showing up on the camera as of right now. But anyways, so we got our little horizon line right here, and then we're just going to be saying that our vantage point That's a little bit too big of a. We're going to say that our vantage point is going to be about right here. And we're just going to be throwing in some extra lines. Not a fan of that. All right, so now that we have horizon line, vantage point, and other lines converging in, we're going to have another section of perspective that is also going to be kind of going up. And let me, I guess, might do it in another color. I'm not sure. Actually, you know what? We could probably just work with this as of right now. So I'm going to drop the opacity just a bit. Throw in another layer, and we're just going to get straight to it as far as just drawing the characters and whatnot. So I think my thought process is that because it's Frankenstein, he's the biggest out of the three monsters. We're probably just going to have him basically kind of just here in the middle. And I just want to change the shape of the head just a little bit. And we're going to say that Frankenstein's monster is just going to be Chuck holding Dracula, because that seems about right. So we're going to have Dracula's head. I am probably going to shrink this just a bit. And of course, it's not going to shrink it the way that I want it to. So that sucks. All right. Never mind. That's not going to do it either. I just love modern technology. All right. Change the size of some stuff just a little bit. Start it over. All right. So what I'm wanting to do is create a secondary set of lines that are just kind of going up to get the eyes to look that it's going in that direction. And the hardest part of doing this is actually where the legs are going to be kind of disappearing at just a bit. All right. That seems a bit more like it. Okay, so we've got it's going to be Dracula's head right there. Part of the monster's fingers right here, ear, and let's see. And of course, a random pupper decides to show up right next to me while I'm teaching. All right. All right, so we've got. And let's see. All right, looks like we got someone in the chat. Justin Miller, hey, how you doing? All right. And we're going to have, excuse me, the Wolfman right here. Or let's see here. And we're going to kind of make him look like he's about to reach out at the same time. So the whole point of just these rough layouts is basically just to get the idea of where everything is going to be setting and how it's all going to pizza itself, where it's going to piece itself together. And let's say that the Wolfman is eating Frankenstein's ear. That sounds about right. All right. I'm doing all right, man. Like I said at the beginning of the thing, I'm in Baltimore right now because the Baltimore Comic Con's at the this weekend. So I'm just kind of staying with some family and trying to get some work done before I have to do load in on Thursday afternoon. But yeah, other than that, today's actually been kind of wonky for me because, um, I woke up early enough to do stuff, and I probably took like 2 naps a day. Um, I'm not sure if that's just residual uh, tiredness after, driving 13 hours, but who knows? All right, so now that we've got uh, the idea down, try to get some hair. And it's not Dracula unless he's got a cape. think if I remember correctly, he's got a coat of some sort. So, funny enough, as far as I can remember, Baltimore is actually the furthest up the East Coast that I've been. Um, because beforehand it was just uh, Virginia and Virginia Beach. I had a chance to go to DC, but I, never went. And yeah, so I knew that at some point, actually, it was going to be during 2020. I was wanting to do a lot more traveling, and then, of course, the world decided to implode on itself. So traveling kind of became a non-existent thing for a while. So it feels good that I'm actually having the chance to go and do that and do some stuff. Got to go around the historical downtown area for a bit. I also got to see Black Adam, which, by the way, I'm totally open to wanting to talk about that movie, as long as no one feels like I'm hitting any spoilers or anything like that. But to make it spoiler free, I definitely enjoyed it. It probably has to be my favorite DC. Um, as far as just like, if we're thinking about it in terms of like Justice League characters and stuff like that, it definitely has to be my favorite DC movie since Shazam. It's fun in its own way. I definitely feel like The Rock was definitely tapping into the character in terms of the personality. Um, I mean, they obviously had to tone down the brutality of the character himself, but there was definitely some really awesome fight scenes and stuff like that. So um, it's definitely awesome to see that, and um, definitely feel a lot better seeing where the state of live action DC stuff is going to be heading. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of the perspective grid just a little bit, and I'm gonna drop the opacity down, and I want to start working on these characters. But first, uh, he gave Thor a run for his money. You know, so I actually waited until Love and Thunder. Actually, waited until Love and Thunder came out onto streaming before I went to go watch it, because, like, I've seen a couple other films that Taika Waititi has done, and I've definitely enjoyed them. And with Love and Thunder, like, I actually did enjoy that movie. It was a lot longer than Ragnarok, but the only downside that I felt like when it came to that film was right at the very end. But it wasn't until I was talking about it with someone, and they were just like, when you're watching the movie, and you're listen to the narration at the beginning and at the end of it, the entire movie is technically done through Korg's point of view. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, what facts have been skewed and what isn't, because he likes alliterating stuff and all of that. So um, it's definitely it definitely made me kind of wonder just a little bit, as far as just like, well, maybe the ending isn't as happy-go-lucky as it's supposed to make itself out to be. And it's just, Korg making it sound happier than it actually is. So, with that being said, uh, it's definitely a lot different than Ragnarok for sure. But I do enjoy the fact that we got Jane Foster Thor in action, which definitely makes sense because when we're thinking about, I guess, like storylines and stuff like that, with just stuff that Marvel has put out within like the last 15 years, and that's also including the Ultimates stuff. It kind of puts things a little bit in perspective because we've got a possible setup for Young Avengers because if you haven't seen it yet, the new Ant-Man trailer has just dropped. So we've got Cassie Lang, and she in the trailer does have a suit. So that's pretty freaking awesome. So we now have the possibility of Stature. We know that Bradley exists. We know that Kate Bishop exists. We know that technically Wanda's kids exist. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see Young Avengers popping out within Phase 4. It might be a Phase 5 kind of situation. And even more so, I definitely feel like it will probably be a TV show more than anything else. All right. So when we're going back into, looking at the head being constructed. So in the rough sketch, I put the section of where the ear is going to theoretically be. So if we're thinking about it like that, then this is where the rest of the head is going to be theoretically in that kind of area. So we're going to erase some spots here and there. Now, the interesting thing is that when we're looking at, the head being tilted that way, which I'm not really sure this is going to come across with the webcam, but you're not going to see, the full eye. You're not going to see the entirety of like the mouth, but you will still see, a part of the nose. So, with that being said, excuse me, I had quick supper before this, so I'm feeling some hiccups. That is theoretically what the face. Of course, I got to get rid of the guidelines real quick. but theoretically, that is how the head looks like. At that kind of angle. And we're going to and of course the top part of his words, they're escaping me. The top back part of his suit, and of course the cape as well, are kind of just taking over the back part of the head. And I am actually going to quickly see if I can find a reference point with Lugosi's hair, because I can't remember if he has a widow's peak or not. And all right, it's looking like he does, sort of. All right. Okay. So might even cut that back just a little bit. All right. Phone keeps going off. All right. So, going back to my Lugosi reference. Okay, so my mind keeps forgetting that he has a collar. So I'm gonna fixate that right about there. All right. The one thing you should never, ever feel like you should back down on doing is drawing uh, hands and feet at various different angles. Because no one wants a Rob Liefeld. All right. All right, so Drac is basically gasping for his life. And we're going to start moving our way towards Frankenstein's monster. Oh, yeah, that's right. I mentioned that he was going to be missing an ear. And we're going to go ahead and put in the claws of the Wolfman. Actually, I might have to shrink that just a little bit. And of course, with it being Frankenstein's monster, doesn't really have a load of emotion. I mean, it has some, but keep hearing what sounds like someone just like opening and shutting their car door repeatedly. So I'm not sure if that's come through on the microphone or not. Actually, you know what? I might just go ahead and change the eyebrows just a bit. A little bit of anger instead of the weird. I have to shift the nose just a little bit. All right. And I'll get to all the shading and stuff like that with him later. Okay. So, if I remember this correctly, his jacket thing kind of looks like it's either a animal skin or a really natty burlap sack. I can't remember what it is. All right. Down. Actually, that does raise a question as far as Frankenstein's pants are concerned. Costume. There we go. Okay, so yeah, it was just a really weird shoes that he's got going on. All right. And we're going to say this thing kind of cuts off right here. Hey, Alan. Glad you showed up. And before you mention it, yes, I do miss our little Friday get togethers. So, which speaking of, many topics that we talked about, Alan, I did go see Black Adam. It wasn't the same as David. You're not wrong. Uh, all right, so the last one is the old Wancini Wolfman. All right. Do do do. So that's really interesting that you should say that because, like, I've heard a lot of people say the complete opposite that they enjoyed everything about it except for the ending itself. Um, so it's interesting that you felt the complete opposite about it. So yeah, I haven't watched any of the three new Halloween films. I think just after watching the Rob Zombie reboots, that I just kind of felt like um, I guess the want to see another Halloween movie just kind of came and went. Um, but at the same time, I've because of so this is what I've been seeing a lot as far as just like people that I know on social media. You know, they go and they've been fully invested in this new trilogy, and then of course they get to Halloween ends. They're like, man, like it started off good and then just like sucked all the way through. Um, and so but yet they're over here talking about, I mean, like it sucked, but like it sucked in a way that Halloween H2O was like a step above Halloween Ends. So that's kind of interesting to hear about that because I've heard like a lot of people talk crap about H2O, and then after this, they're just like, H2O wasn't that bad. So first hour of the movie almost made me walk out of the theater. Yeah, so the first one was fantastic. The second one, it started off decently well, and then it was just this random dream states that went on in like the last half of the script I just really didn't understand as to why they were there in the first place, which I haven't watched that movie since it came out in the theater. I probably will just have to like sit down and watch both of those back to back just so I can refresh my memory. Um, but at the same time, I also kind of feel like I don't know. It's almost like my choices with what to watch in the theater has started to like slim down just a bit because like they were pumping out all these movies um, during COVID and all that sort of stuff, only airing, excuse me, only airing in the theater. So like they were still wanting to do the new James Bond film in the theater. They were still wanting to do Tenet in the theater. A couple others. So and it was just like, well, the only way I can see these films that I've been waiting for is, I would have to go to the movies. But now it's just like, with the exception of like the past couple of Marvel films, and there was one other movie that I saw within like the last year or two. Like I just really, oh, it was the recent James Bond film. Um, those were like the only movies that I've actually gotten around to the watching in the theater. So Yeah, I agree. I don't think Rob Zombie understood the last half of his own film either, which I've was actually kind of interested in seeing the Monsters on Netflix, but I'm also just not invested enough to want to watch the Monsters on Netflix. So it's just a really weird dichotomy of feelings, which I have a feeling that my Wolfman is going to look a little bit too much like Werewolf by Night, so I gotta fix it up just a little bit with that really weird afro that he's got. Actually, it's not even an afro, it's just like a really bad perm. Yeah, I definitely agree. You definitely do have to be in a certain kind of mood, if not just overall a certain kind of I don't know, hardcore fandom uh, to just want to be invested in watching a certain person's movies or um, music. So, Alan, I think you're going to get a kick out of this. So, when I was going through Virginia, trying to get up here to Baltimore, there, you've got like all these like, okay, so whenever you're driving interstate, you always have those signs where it's just like, the sign for all the food places coming up at this exit, gas, attractions, whatever. So apparently there was a food place, and I'm not kidding whatsoever, but it was literally called Quaker's Steak and Lube. And I'm like, this is really, really odd. And I feel like this is super unsanitary. And like, apparently, it's like an actual food place, but Quaker Steak and Lube sounds like a really weird uh, place that the Amish kids run away to during crap, I forgot the name of that thing that the Amish kids do when they run away to experience the world. It starts with an R. Are you kidding me? It's a chain. Oh man, nope. Mm-mm. No. let's see. All right. Not really liking where that hand is, but kind of wanted to just kind of right there. Have the fingers disappear. All right. Back out this just a bit. And we'll get rid of well, maybe we can keep that. Why not? All right. All right. So we're going to start putting in some colors just to quickly splash it in. You know, give it some life. Yeah. Ooh, that was a really bad impression right there. Where is the marker? There it is. All right. Quick question for anyone who just happens to be watching right now. Did any of you happen to see the trailer for the new Ant-Man film? Which I am actually a bit surprised that they are showing. Yeah, yeah, Quantum Realm. Um, I'm actually a little bit surprised that they're showing King in this. Like, I knew that he was going to be an obvious big bad, and of course, they've also talked about Doom being in it as well. And so I just was not prepared to see King. Also, wasn't prepared to see Bill Murray, and I have no idea what he's going to be playing as. So that's going to be really interesting. It'd be even funnier if they pulled Alan Cena as well. Awesome. Uh, I don't know if they're going to be pulling a Zombieland with Bill Murray, so he ends up playing himself trapped in quantum realm. Uh, I don't think that would go over real well. But the thing that I really enjoyed the most is the fact of Bill Murray's the one above all else. I think the thing I really enjoyed about that new trailer is the fact that Baskin Robbins made him the custom as like the employee of the century or something like that. So I definitely enjoyed that little bit of a win that Scott has about that. But yeah, going back to that trailer, I think it's an interesting thing because I was wondering about how they were going to show King in the actual, King costume sort of thing. So I think it's really interesting that the lines that would have made, I guess, the mask or whatever it is actually scarring. So I thought that was really interesting as far as the uh, you know trying to adapt something that was a character that was created in like what the 60s I think to and his costume really hasn't changed hardly at all since then to it being um, adapted to the silver screen. So I think that's really interesting. starting to wonder if using this type of marker is the bad idea or not. Although it is really giving me a nice texture, so I'm just going to continue on using it. Yeah, put a little extra texture in the hair. And I think probably should do some kind of, not really a full-on red, but not really a purple either. Somewhere in between. What color is this? Muddy Scarlet. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Get that in. Zoom out a bit. Let's get the rest of this. All right. And I'm going to go back to this color again. Give the bottom part of Dracula's shoes bit of a stony gray kind of look. And some sort of pallid kind of look to his color. But we're also going to put in a little bit of a shade of blue over certain parts. Oh, he's not, totally warm. Just a little dead. All right. Just now seeing some stuff. Okay. I am having fun in Baltimore. Yeah. I had to take it a little bit easy today. So Saturday and Sunday were, uh, decently good days overall. Sunday kind of drove around the historical downtown area with my brother for a bit. Saturday went to go see Black Adam, and did you shave the connector between the stash and your beard? Yes. Um, this part tends to grow pretty quickly. Um, I'm not sure why, it just does. And I usually just do that uh, just to help things out. It just kind of becomes a force of habit. But I keep forgetting that I've got a scar. Things like, yeah, got a scar over here. Um, so it kind of just surprises me out of the blue sometimes. When I think of Black Adam, uh, as far as like the DC stuff is concerned, I definitely rank it up there with Shazam, with just the fun factor, the overall just kind of keeping it in the vibe of what it feels like to read a DC comic. I definitely feel like they tapped into that really well. While I will say they definitely did tone down the violence to a degree, just as far as Black Adam is concerned, there were some super impressive, fight scenes, kill scenes, and stuff like that uh, regarding Black Adam is concerned. But I think what gets me is how I'm sure you can get this. It's the whole telling that you haven't read a comic without telling me that you haven't read a comic. Kind of comments that people have made about the film, just like, well, he's not a hero. He's supposed to be, like, no, he never was, and even states that throughout the thing. Is he a champion for uh, uh, what's the name of that place, Kadak? Then yes, but is he a hero? No. Was he ever meant to be? No. Um, and it shows that in the film. So I definitely felt like The Rock did a good job bringing in the character, and also very excited for that nice little cameo at the very end of the trailer. Sorry, not the trailer, the credits. I thought that was a really nice touch into it. So quite excited for that for sure. All right, let's try to get old Frankie. So with his skin color, we're going to be doing. Let's try this lime green pale color. See how that works. Oh yeah, yeah, that definitely works. Yeah, so it is confirmed for a fact. I guess the real question is going to be, you know, who's going to be directing it. Um, what does this mean for the DCEU going forward? Um, because if what Dwayne Johnson is saying is fact that Black Adam is going to be the start of a new page for the DCEU, it does beg a lot of questions. and I guess the main question is just going to be the overall direction of how they're going to be doing their movies from here on out. So just to let you guys know, this particular sketch will be up on my Patreon um, probably by tomorrow. So if you're interested in wanting this and several other Halloween themed sketches, they are there. Meant to put up a few more earlier last week. I just never got the chance to do it. Just been more so focused on the stuff regarding just Baltimore and things that I need to do. All right. But speaking of other things I've been watching and stuff like that, decided to do a rewatching of Castlevania. So that's been a fun one to just kind of do some sketching with that playing in the background, sort of. Uh, the animation quality in that is really up there. And I just hate the fact that Netflix just kind of shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of their animation studios, or not all of them, but most of them. So basically, if you haven't guessed already as to what I'm doing, I'm just creating more and more values to the colors of the skin tones, because we're dealing with not normal pigments of skin tones whatsoever. We're dealing with dead flesh, decaying flesh. So the color of all that is going to be completely different from like one thing to another. Uh, so in the case of Dracula, I did use a really pale skin tone at first, and then I went over it with a really light blue, and then I kind of hit it with some shade of blue underneath that. And the only reason I'm doing that is because with the concept of um, Dracula being this, a Romanian, and Transylvania being, up near I think it's like the Carpathian Mountains, somewhere around there. Cold, all that. Typically, whenever skin loses oxygen, it starts turning blue, especially in the cold. So, and the only other way that skin can turn blue is if it's, just happen to be, a drowning body. The only reason I know half of this crap is because I religiously watched CSI when it came out. So, learned a little bit too much about the thoughts of medical examiners. Um, but and then of course with like typical things that are decaying or dead, usually the skin is going to have a bit of a greenish tint to it, depending on the types of soil and uh, that it just happens to be buried in. Give them a nice little black thumbnail. And we're going to do some sort of like a really dark brown for this kind of burlap coat thing. Not really even sure what to call it. But yeah, so I've been watching a bit of Castlevania. Apparently, my brother and sister in law have been watching Modern Family and the offshoot thing of the Rookie, which that's in my watch list. Just haven't had the time to sit and watch that as of late. But yeah, been working on a couple of other pieces to fill in my portfolio. So I do have a larger Chun Li that I'm working on, and also a larger Man Thing and Werewolf by Night that I'm trying to work on. Hopefully, I can get to those within the next, hopefully, as early as tomorrow. And then I've got some smaller ones of Ashoka. Uh, actually, Ashoka with Grogu. I have one of Deadpool. Uh, I have Count Orlok from Nosferatu. And I'm also working on, I forgot who the last one was. No. Oh, yeah, it was like some random thing as far as just Baltimore is concerned. But I had this idea of kind of creating this kind of fake advertisement or whatever for, the con. I was thinking about all those, old school uh, Parisian type of advertisements that they would do in the 1800s, or sorry, the late 1800s, early 1900s, when Art Nouveau was the thing, and just kind of wanted to do something regarding to Baltimore and it being Halloween. So that was definitely in my scope of stuff that I was wanting to do. And originally, that was going to be a print that I was going to have exclusively for this upcoming con, and do not have the time to finish it. As far as just like full color, type of print, just don't have the time to finish and deal with that. So it's just going to reside in my portfolio as of now. And I see one of the puppers has decided to join me. All right. And let's see. I do have a couple other things on the list for me to do to fill up my portfolio. I do have a couple of Batman related things that I'm wanting to do. Also got a Black Panther thing that I want to do. Hopefully, trying to get in some X-Men or Justice League stuff. Um, and I'm not sure if I am going to get around to it, but I actually did bring a layout for a print that I was wanting to do back in 2017 of Final Fantasy VII, and I just never got around to finishing it whatsoever. It was still like in the rough sketch layout phase, uh, but I brought it with me in case there was ever a slow period that I would be working on that during the show. Man, you had to say that. If I was doing the monsters, I would definitely uh, would put them in a snazzy looking suit, but not so much the case with what's going on here. And I'm going to make the shirt a bit on the gray side. But it is a good thing that you actually did mention uh, whoever is going to be wearing blue, because I was thinking about kind of an almost denim type blue um, for the Wolfman, at least with uh, the shirt. I'm not sure about the pants. Uh, I did find a really interesting local comic shop uh, in the downtown area uh, near where my brother lives. It's probably not even a 10-minute drive. Uh, and saw some really interesting artist editions and art books that were in there. But I don't want to just blow my money away on that. But I did pick up a a volume of the 90s Starman. It's one of the later volumes of that. So I've got that in my collection. And okay, so I'm going to bring this back to the black. It still holds up as far as just yeah, it still holds up to this day as far as just rereading it. I would definitely say it is arguably, yeah, definitely up there in terms of like Vertigo, Hellraiser, and Saga, Swamp Thing. Obviously Sandman. It's definitely up there in my mind as far as just all the that era of '90s DC stuff. Um, or I guess more accurately, um, you know, DC Vertigo stuff. And considering that, they've got Stargirl already, which has been a fun show. It really has. Um, it definitely did bring in a lot of questions that my brother and I had in terms of, who they were going to show with the JSA and Black Adam. Um, because, I mean, I hate to say it, but the JSA without characters such as Starman and you know the first Green Lantern, first Flash, uh, Doctor Midnight, Hourman, Spectre, the first Sandman. Um, it's stuff like that where it's just like those are kind of like staple characters. Oh, and Wildcat, can't forget about him. These are all staple characters, and so it was just kind of interesting to see what they were going to show for you know this version of the JSA within the DCEU. And so for them to show not just Doctor Fate but also Hawkman, but now we have Cyclone, and we also have Atom Smasher 2 in the mix, which that cameo for who's supposed to be Atom Smasher 1 was quite nice. I really do feel the same way about that too. I mean, you know, like I get that Black Label is supposed to be DC's like, you know, Vertigo for the 21st century. I'm saying this with quotations. Um, I get why they were trying to do it, but at the same time, it's just like they really should have just kept the Vertigo line, especially since they brought back Ferris. So it would just make sense for them to go ahead and just kind of keep it in that uh, little thing. But I definitely feel like it's definitely one of those things where You know, a character like Jack Knight, uh, bringing a whole new perspective to you know the JSA and I guess the legacy of Star Knight or of Starman. Um, it's definitely an interesting little turn point. Yeah, I definitely do agree. Black Label has definitely been very hit or miss with some of the stories. Like, I actually did have some high hopes for uh, Superman Year One when it came out, but I it definitely felt like Frank Miller was just trying to use the same kind of dialogue and stuff like that that he did with Dark Knight, and it just wasn't really. It definitely didn't go over well um, because it just made Kent sound like an idiot half the time, and I really was not into the whole thing of like Clark Kent being this uh, guy who has like a girlfriend in every issue. Uh, like it just didn't make any sense whatsoever. So, uh, yeah, of course, you're either going to really like or really not like Bermuda's art. So, um, I did not read Flash Year One. I wanted to, but I just didn't really feel like it. Never got around to reading Batman Damned. I did read Wonder Woman Dead Earth. That was fantastic. And of course, I feel a little bit biased saying that because Daniel Warren Johnson has just been on a roll as far as just the stuff that he's been bringing uh, to not just DC, but he also did that Beta. Yeah, I can't speak. That Beta Ray Bill series from Marvel, which was a hit, and he's done several different stuff with Image and Skybound that have also been really good as far as the selling points concerned. Uh, Especially with his newest comic, Do a Powerbomb. Um, so it's um, I was originally going to read that Harley Quinn one. I think it was called like Harleen. Uh, I really like the artist Stefan Stevik. Him and his wife just have this really interesting way of doing digital artwork that it's almost super sketchy, but it's got this really defined kind of way about their stuff. And I started collecting Batman and Catwoman, the Tom King series, and I stopped. I think right around issue 4 or 5 because I thought it was only going to be like a 4 to 6 issue run. And when they said it was going to be like a 12 issue run, I'm just like, there's no way possible I'm going to be able to collect all this. Um, but they had just announced that the trade of that is out, so um, I might pick that up. Not entirely positive on that. Batman Damned was pretty good. There were parts that was kind of meh on. Nice House has been really good if you're into Twilight Zone Type 5. I've been wanting to get around to reading Nice House. Is that a James Tynion one? I can't remember. I which, speaking of Tynan, so, he kind of disappeared off of social media altogether for like almost a year. And the only place you can find him is on Substack. And apparently, he has recently reactivated his Twitter account, which I don't know how long that's going to how long that's going to last, but that's going to be an interesting turn of events for sure. Whether or not if he keeps with it or not. I am, however, just outside of Black Label stuff is concerned, I am really excited to read the first issue of the Wildcats. Nor writes like the Bat and the Cat like Tom King. I can definitely agree with that. Okay, it is Tynan. All right. Tiny Onion. Let's see. I'm going to do a little bit of cover brown on the bottom instead, just to break up all the dark colors we've been doing. All right. So now we got the Wolfman. And tone this down just a bit. But yeah, pretty excited about Wildcats, especially since they're going to be roping in Court of Owls into whatever is going to be going on within the Wildcats. So that should be interesting to see where they go with it. Grifter versus Talon would be interesting. Crap. Who was I thinking of? I'm not saying that Grifter couldn't hold his own against Talon, but I feel like Zealot would probably have a better chance holding her own against Talon. I mean, after all, she is a intergalactic space samurai of sorts. And let's see here, get this little patch that's going to have some fur sticking out of it. I just realized that we have entered our 2-hour mark. And we're actually getting pretty close because all we really have to do now is basically just finish up the Wolfman, do a couple extra details here and there, and then also possibly try to slap in some sort of background just to make it all work together. And then after that, we are basically going to be done. Change the size on that. Also, I just saw on Haven's thing about the one chip challenge, so pretty excited about that. Um, Definitely down to you know chugging down a gallon of milk after eating one of those things. So yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. Oh my god, Alan. Dark haired dogs look good in purple sweaters. You know what? Let's go ahead and give him a purple sweater. Let's do it. All right. Let's see. Right here. All right. Yeah, we're zooming out just a little bit. And I feel like there's a little bit too much right here. Oops. Fix that just a little bit. All right. All right. And we're going to fix up the lines just a little bit. The purple sweater rocks. All right. So getting closer and closer to what I want to do. So we want to start adding in a bit of a line weight to differentiate everything that's kind of going on. All right. Think we have that kind of put together a bit more than it was. All right, so now we're going to bring back in the perspective grid just a bit, and we're going to what's this? Okay. And we're going to basically kind of put in a really quick kind of background just to fill in everything that's going on. And thank you. Purple sweaters always rock. So now that we have everything just kind of put together as it is, very quickly fill in this gap. All right. We're going to do. Trying to think of a nice color that is going to work with all this kind of spoopiness. All right. Worst case scenario, we're just going to do green because you just can't have enough, I guess. All right. And oh, sorry. I don't mean to do on that layer. Also the wrong layer. Okay. And we're going to dial back the intensity just a bit. It's not doing what I was hoping it was going to do. So if I leave it in, it's just kind of. Yeah, I think I'm just going to change the color on that real quick. And it's still kind of clashing a bit with what I've got going on. So I think what I'm going to end up doing instead is because I still have the perspective grid kind of right there. I'm just going to make it pretty simplistic. And we're going to do some quick shadows sorts. Well, it wasn't really so much messing with the clothing as it was messing with skin tones. I mean, it would make for an interesting highlight, but it's not coming across the way that I was originally wanting it to go. And actually, let's do it this way. Actually, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Um, the only reason I'm saying that is looking at it from the perspective of I'm going to zoom this out so you guys can see what it is that I'm seeing. So it makes sense for light to be hitting, you know, uh, not really like a. It's coming in obviously from behind, and it makes sense for the shadow cast to be really stretching it out this way and this way. But that would also mean that the shadow for the Wolfman and Dracula would be further behind than what you currently can see on there. Which is the only reason why I left, a lighter um, type of thing going on as far as just the outline around uh, with the colors. I could do that. I think just for the simplicity's sake, uh, just for simplicity's sake, considering that we're already getting to about like 2.5 hours in. I think could possibly, obviously, just getting rid of that in general. Uh, okay, let's give this a go. See how that's going to work. So I'm going to hit this, and we're going to go for a halo effect. Uh, well, that's really odd because that's not supposed to do that. Oh man. Yep, that's definitely not going to work. Oy. I think the biggest issue, as far as just trying to do an actual background behind them, is because I chose to do that. I chose to do the marker uh, instead of the ink or whatever else type brush for the coloring. So the actually, you know what? I think I might know a way around it. So I'm going to try it real quick. Favorite Halloween monster. So it's actually been a really good question because as much as I love, just the whole Wolfman type, um, story and all of its different lore and stuff like that. Uh, you know, I've always been a fan of that, but I'm starting to lean a little bit more into um, like specters and race and things of that nature. Uh, and I think the only reason behind it is I've just been, just reading a lot of stuff regarding storylines and especially with The Witcher, uh, the games more than anything else. And I've definitely enjoyed, I guess, the more ghost story centric stuff that happens with that. All right, vampires. Well, I will definitely be sure to be eating a lot of Italian food whenever I'm around you. So I got the garlic in check. So the interesting thing is that whenever I'm uh, just like looking at it from like an RPG aspect, like with Warhammer, I really like uh, what was known as the Vampire Lords, and but was currently known as the uh, crap. What's it called? Soulblight Grave Lords. That's what they're called. Um, which I'm not sure if how familiar you are with the lore and stuff with Warhammer, but uh, basically the Lord of Death goes by the name of Nagash. Basically decided to run some sort of pact or whatever with the other uh, creatures that are part of the Legions of Death. And so, which ended up being the Vampire Lords. And of course, they have a multitudes of undead armies and stuff like that outside of Nagash's armies. And so I forgot as the whole reason behind why that happened or anything like that. I have to reread it, but I was always really into the whole Vampire Counts armies because they just had some really interesting uh, different types of just different types of vampires, different types of I guess like sects and hierarchies as far as the vampire lords are concerned and the different dynasties of them. Um, it's just the people who just kind of sit down and create these types of mythologies for the um, for this stuff. They really do sit down and take their time to make it work. All right, so we're going to go back to here it is. Dude, I told you this was going to be you know this was going to be a longer episode. So it is the Halloween special. Let's see here. So I'm going to try to line this part up just a bit. Actually, what ends up happening if I whoa? So just go ahead and do all that. So it's really not so much of my trying to do a halo effect. Um, I'm actually erasing uh, to try to bring back some of this stuff. But the problem is that that blue really helped out with like a couple of different colors, but yet it was completely negating others. Yeah, see, because that takes away the darkness of that blue. All right. No. Gosh. Uh, as far as trying to do a halo effect right now, I'm not even sure how to do it with this type of brush thing that I worked with right now, unless I basically did like a white uh, layer at the very top, which would be the only way around it. Uh, so yeah, let's see how that may or may not look. Oops. With the Halo, was think of the way Van Helsing looked when he grabbed Dracula to drag him into the portal in Monster Squad. Dude, it's been forever since I've watched Monster Squad that I couldn't even tell you exactly what that was supposed to look like. Um, but as far as just highlights concerned, this is probably going to be the closest I can come up with something. All right, think. As we started adding in a little extra white, create a little bit more of an effect. I believe that's going to be what I'm thinking about doing as far as just leaving it as it is for tonight. Basically, I was going after exactly the things I was wanting to do specifically with this sketch. Um, but yeah, so I'm going to leave it with that tonight. Considering that trying to do a 3 hour stream is very tedious. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off on that. Got the dogs right behind me trying to get on the bed. All right, Justin, have a good night. All right. So, that being said, uh, thank you so much for coming out to this Halloween special. Remember to like and subscribe if you happen to like anything that has been going on with Haven Comics and myself in general. And you can find me through linktree.com, through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also Patreon. And Haven Comics is located on 1871 Slaughter Road in Madison, Alabama. So we got Alan, have a good night, and I will definitely have fun at the convention. Speaking of, if you didn't gather from the very beginning, I am at the Baltimore Comic Con this weekend on the 28th through the 30th, all 3 days. And you will find me in the Artist Alley at table B47. All right. Have a good one and enjoy your Halloween.